right? Now, the Battle of Armageddon approaches, okay? And from 410, I think 410 AD is basically, I think it's good to be able to say that, yeah. I think we could say that at 410 AD, the Battle of Armageddon begins. And this would have been basically the kings of the Roman Empire against like Rome, okay? Because they were coming in to sack Rome. And once Rome is sacked by 476 AD, basically the beast and the false prophet are thrown into the lake of fire, okay? There's a colossal earthquake in 443 AD. And there's another sacking by the Vandals in 455 AD. But then there was a final sacking that was that happened by the Ostrogoths in 476 AD. And many will agree that that is when we get into the 1,000 year, right? And that is when many will agree that that is when we went into the 1,000 year Middle Ages, okay? Now, I'm going to talk about that soon, but I just want to mention this is where I think Satan is bound. I think he's bound after Constantine's death, right? And the devil would have gone into perdition and he would have been bound for like 1,000 years, okay? And this would have happened between 337 AD to 1337 AD, okay? During this time when Rome is sacked. Now, after the sacking of Rome, we enter now into the 1,000 year Middle Ages. What we have left is basically the Eastern and Western Empire, Roman empires. And in 538 AD, after the fall of Rome in 476 AD, Justinian I emerged as the ruler over the Eastern Roman Empire from 527 AD to 565 AD, and is commonly known as the last emperor of Rome, of like the fractured Rome, right? Of East and West Rome, okay? Now, during this time, I just want to say that I think that the saints who were beheaded, those who did not take the mark of the beast, the 144,000, and those saints who were raptured, I believe that they would have reigned in the heavenly and spiritual realm, during this 1,000 year period, and they are still reigning to this very day. Yes, there was wars that were happening. There was the rise of Islam. Islam came into existence and is arguably a proxy religion of the Catholic Church. Okay. But yeah, they were the ones that were persecuting Christians along with the office of the papacy, because now we have left from there, right? From this beast system, from the destruction of the ancient Roman Empire, we still have some remnants of the power that still existed, right? And it was in the office of the papal authority, or as we commonly call the Roman Catholic Church, right? Right from the Vatican, right? But this is who they were. This is what they did. This all goes all the way back to Nero, okay? And even further still, this goes all the way back to Babylon, really, to Nimrod, okay? But that's a topic for another video. All right, so it is noteworthy that the office of the papacy basically had its like authority for 1,260 years, as represented by the little horn in Daniel 7 verses 12. Right? And then Napoleon deposes the papal authority in 1798. So this is exactly 1,260 years, as prophesied by Daniel. And in 1337, when Satan is now, he's finished being bound, I believe that he would have just gone around roaming the earth. Did he go into the Black Prince of Wales? Because he was some sort of warlord, right? One of these princes of Wales. He was some sort of warlord, right? And he would have been about 7 years old when that would have happened. But yeah, there was all kinds of wars that were happening. Islam was trying to take ground. Europe was trying to expand. And there was, yes, consolidation. It seemed as though Satan was trying to reunify the empire in its various ways and tactics. And then the Black Death plague occurred, right, between 1347 to 1351. And this is significant. It seems like God always brings a plague to stop and thwart the plans of the enemy, right? And then after the Black Plague finishes, runs its course, then the Renaissance commences. And I think this is where we get a lot of our secret societies. And not only that, I just want to talk a little bit about the Renaissance. There was a lot of like really abominable art and philosophy and culture and thinking that came out of the Renaissance that nobody wants to talk about. You know that the art, like when you compare the art in the 1,000-year Middle Ages, right, to the art that we get in the Renaissance, it is very not like the Renaissance art is not Christ honoring at all. But in the Middle Ages, the art was very honoring of Christ, very, very much so. So when the Renaissance happens, it just seems like there's this, I don't know, like this departure from Christ being the center of everything, in the art, at least that we see. And I don't know, the shape of the world changes. It was kind of established that the shape of the world was a certain way. And then all of a sudden, like out of the Renaissance, there's these ideas that the earth is a different kind of shape and all kinds of things. I think these secret societies must have also emerged out of this time frame here. It's really, really sad. But yeah, we get the Renaissance. And then in 1476 would be the end of the 1,000 year millennial time frame. But I still believe that they're still reigning to this very day, as we are now, yes, in the little season. So look, this has been what I've been trying to tell you guys when I say that we're in the little season of Satan's deception of the world. We're in the 550th year of this, from 1476 to exactly 2026. And yeah, so now we have all kinds of wars that are happening. We have a war between U.S., Israel versus Iran, and arguably Russia, and arguably the other BRICS nations. But definitely it's U.S., Israel versus Iran. And I just want to say that this is exactly what you'd expect in this little season of deception. You would expect there to be wars. You would expect there to be all manner of, questions as to what's real, what's fake. Okay, because we have fake news. We now have AI, which is able to deceive our minds. So we don't know what's real and what's not unless you have Christ, unless you have spiritual discernment. Even our own medical system, seems to be working against us, right? All these governments and corporations seem to be working against us. This is exactly what you'd expect in the little season of deception. So no, I'm not a partial preterist. If anything, I believe things are going to get worse, or at least people will become careless. They'll become very careless, as we see mentioned in Zechariah 14 and Ezekiel 38 and 39, right? Like there's this careless attitude that people have, where they think that they're so, secure and removed from what's happening in the Middle East. And that will not be the case at all. And not only that, but, we get this situation where we have these secret societies all having the same eschatology, where, yes, there must be this final conflict in Jerusalem. And one of these factions have to be successful in taking Jerusalem, right? And when that happens, then the Messiah will return, right? Now, what's so strange about this philosophy, or this idea, right? This eschatology, let's put it this way. So what's so fascinating about this eschatology is that Christian Zionists believe that once the Battle of Armageddon happens, that then the Antichrist is going to arise. It's like, why would you think the Antichrist would arise when the Antichrist was already here, right? And his system, his mark of the beast system, was already around during the time of Nero's reign. Why would you think that? Why on earth would you think that there would be another empire that would unify the world the way that the ancient Roman Empire would, right? Isn't there this visual, isn't there this vision that Daniel has that basically there's a mountain that grows on the entire world, and it fills the world, right? And isn't that supposed to represent the kingdom of God, the kingdom of Christ, superseding all the other kingdoms? There shouldn't be another empire. There should only be the rulership of Christ on earth, right? And I want to know what these Christians are going to do when Christ intervenes, the Messiah intervenes in the Gog Magog conflict, right? Which is the conflict between Gog and the armies of Magog. The armies of Magog are Turkey, Russia, and Iran. And we have this Gog figure. We don't know who this person is, right? But like, what are they going to do? What are Christians going to do when these Jews look upon the one that they pierced, right? And they repent and they mourn because he's the Messiah that left from the Mount of Olives and will return the same way that he left, right? So there's that, okay? Now we get to the great white throne judgment. Now, is it possible? I mean, there is a verse mentioned in the Gospels of like the angels taking away the tares into the fire. Like, is it going to happen that when Christ intervenes and he brings the fire and he brings the saints? So you need to like read, I think it's Revelation. Like you need to read the book of Zechariah to see where he mentions the saints come with the fire. The saints from heaven come with the fire to devour the armies of Gog and Magog. There's like a fifth of the armies that survive, and they go back and tell the world what happened, right? And this, I think, is happens in Ezekiel 38, 39. And then you also need to read like the last 2 chapters of Isaiah, or the entire book of Isaiah. It's a wonderful read, right? But when you read these accounts, right, it makes you wonder when this whole time when the angels come and grab the tares and bring them into the fire, right, happens. And I'm wondering is it possible that like there could be like a gathering of the wicked? All right. So that's it. That wraps this timeline. I'm going to make it available. And if you have any questions, comments, I know many of you are going to disagree with this, but just whatever, put those comments in the description. You know, I really want to hear from you anyway. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.